named Hans Alfven. He was very influential in the field of plasma physics. So, but when he started coming up with theories about astrophysics that explained the formation of galaxies and so forth in terms of electromagnetic fields and their action on plasma, all of a sudden you stopped hearing about Hans Alfven. Even though he was a Nobel Prize winner, he was not allowed to present any more papers at astronomical conferences because he was saying something they didn't want to hear. And they still don't want to hear, although his theory is gradually gaining ground and it's becoming more and more accepted now that electromagnetic phenomena are key in astrophysics. But anyway, that's another story. My point is, the scientists have these fixed beliefs. Although they go on and on about scientific method and experimentation and empiricism and all, they actually don't follow it. They actually have these preconceived ideas. And they go into things to try to find evidence to prove their preconceptions rather than to find the actual truth. And we see this same mentality in certain devotees. They come to our saṅga, and they already have this certain idea that, you know, oh, Babaji is bogus or whatever it is. And then they simply look for evidence to prove their theory, right? And sometimes they even become, you know, they'll take some position. They want to be the focalizer, or they want to be the, you know, the head of this program or that program, right? And then as soon as it becomes obvious that they can't get away with speculating, and they certainly can't get away with not surrendering, then, oh, bye, see you later, and they're gone. And they usually leave a stink behind them of politics and bad feelings. And, you know, like someone recently left our saṅga after taking initiation, and then, but refusing to surrender. So what did they do? They took all the email addresses that they harvested from our network site and started spamming people with all this gossip and trash talk about me. Well, that's not okay. We have, on every email message that I send out, I have a disclaimer saying that this message may not be copied, duplicated, transmitted to third parties, or shared with other people. It's strictly confidential for your eyes only, etc., like that. And so this person took confidential messages that I sent and resent them to other devotees, trying to show, you know, what a terrible person I am. And I am. I'm a ogre. Oh, I'm just awful. I mean, I tell people what to do sometimes.
You told the absolute truth.
The funny thing is, I give maybe 2 instructions a week, you know, in terms of like, oh, we need to do this right now. You know, most of the time, I just let the devotees decide what they want to do with their service, because after all, it's their service. They're right there. They know what's going on better than I do. So I'm not like Prabhupada. I don't expect military discipline. But when I do give an instruction, I expect someone to take it seriously. And if they have some objection, I want to hear their arguments. What's the problem? Why do you think this is not a good idea? But Babaji, but yeah. So, you know, and we've had, there's been plenty of examples that when somebody actually said, you know, Babaji, actually, this idea isn't good because blah, 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 blah. I'll go, oh, yeah, you're right, okay. And that's all there is to it. But if you can't convince me, then as a disciple, you have the obligation to carry through and perform the instruction. Okay? I mean, that's just common sense. You know, it's like if you're at work and the boss gives you an instruction, you have to do it. You know, and maybe if you have a good boss, you can talk to them and say, well, this isn't a good idea because such and such and blah blah blah, and they'll say, oh, okay, you know. But they have the right to make that decision. And if that's true of just an ordinary mundane job, how much more true is it of this transcendental? Actually, we're like in war against Maya, you know. And the proof that it's a war is that as soon as we did something nice, as soon as we had a great, beautiful, transcendental festival for Janmashtami, Maya attacked. And now this whole group of weak devotees has been like washed away by Maya's attack. Actually, it's mercy. We take it as a blessing because these devotees were taking up time and resources and energy. And it looks like their intention from the very beginning was not exactly pure. So it's better that they go now and that they don't take up further time and attention and other resources that we have in a very limited supply. And others will come to take their place, and we'll see. It's very rare that a person can simply come into this Krishna consciousness, this Vedic way of life, without having significant readjustment in their mentality. I mean, if someone is born in India and they're raised as a devotee in a very pure environment and everything, then maybe they could come in and they wouldn't have to, you know, go through so much adjustment. But when someone from the Western countries comes into this environment and contacts the Vedas for the first time, it's natural that they're going to have to go through, you know, 6 months or a year or 2 years or 5 years of deep soul searching and questioning. And you'll find, if you are honest, that we are very tolerant about this. Like there's one devotee now who's having trouble with negative feelings because of past experiences with ISKCON. But he's being completely, I mean, brutally honest. And we have total respect for what this devotee's going through. We have a lot of admiration, actually, because he's being so honest and so straightforward that there's, even though he's having difficulties and like that, we don't have any problem with him communicating with the other devotees because he's just telling the truth, and we love that. If you have that attitude, you will come out successful. We know this from experience, so we support it. But if someone is hiding, you know, and not talking to me or not talking to the senior devotees, and then they're emailing poison pen letters behind our back, you know, and like this, we don't want these people. They're third class, fourth class. We don't want those. We would much rather concentrate on the ones who have a good attitude, even though they may not be very advanced. The attitude is more important or a better indication of their future success. See, even if they have a lot of knowledge. We had one devotee, Florian, who had a lot of knowledge, a lot of philosophical background, and he could talk the philosophy very glibly. But when it came to actual personal surrender and realization, he couldn't cut it. He had to leave. We didn't kick him out. He left. But at the same time, he tried to poison some of the other devotees. See, so this is always an indication of bad motive. I mean, it's one thing if a person decides to leave. Of course, that's their free choice. We don't interfere with that. Or even if they disagree with our philosophy and they want to preach some other philosophy. That's fine. Just don't do it in our community. Don't do it to our students. If you really believe in what you're doing and you think that it's better and it's more powerful, then you'll easily attract followers. Because Krishna will love what you're doing and he'll send all of our students to you. But so far that hasn't happened. So far, the students that have come to us and really understood our message have become very strong. And even when they get this nonsense masquerading as philosophy, they immediately detect it. Then they call it for what it is. So I'm very happy to see this because it means that they have understood. And that's what this is all about. Once a person understands properly Krishna's esoteric teaching, then their victory is assured. Even if I'm not here, even if something happens to all of us, if they understand properly, then they'll eventually be successful. So this is the aim. This is our purpose. That's why we're going to so much trouble preaching and presenting all these. Believe me, as far as our own personal benefit is concerned, we don't have to do all this. I could be living on a mountaintop somewhere in Chile or India or wherever I want to be in the world. And I'll be fine. I don't have to do this. I do it because I want to please Srila Prabhupada. You know, for me, I wouldn't do it. If it was just up to me, I'd be in my little cabin composing beautiful music for Krishna and worshiping my lion and like that. So really, this is all